A Hyperion movie is finally happening. Folks, it is a fantastic time to be a fan of seemingly unfilmable sci-fi and fantasy books. Between Denis Villeneuve's Dune, Foundation on Apple TV+, and the Sandman series coming to Netflix, we're living in a new golden age of iconic sci-fi and fantasy stories finally making their way to screens big and small after years and years of languishing in development hell, or with pug-filled adaptations that didn't quite scratch the itch that some fans were hoping that they might. And now long-suffering Dan Simmons fans have a glimmer of hope on the horizon as well, because a Hyperion movie adaptation is on the way. For those who don't know, Hyperion is part of a 4-book series known as the Hyperion Cantos. Hyperion, The Fall of Hyperion, Endymion, and The Rise of Endymion. The most famous of them is Hyperion, published in 1989, which is basically Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, but in space. Set in the 29th century in a universe where mankind is spread across the stars and interstellar travel is possible, the 4-book saga begins with 7 pilgrims traveling to the eponymous planet of Hyperion on a mission from the Church of the Final Atonement, which is really just a fancy word for a highly influential death cult. With interstellar war about to erupt, the pilgrims are tasked with visiting the planet's mysterious time tombs, which are moving backwards in time and are guarded by the Shrike, a terrifying godlike being. Structured as a frame story as the pilgrims journey to Hyperion, they take turns regaling the rest of their travelers with tales of their past and how and why they were chosen to join the pilgrimage. And this gives the novel an almost anthology-style feel to it, which, in my opinion, would be perfect for television. But it seems that Hyperion's future lies on the big screen. According to Deadline, 8-time Oscar nominee Bradley Cooper will produce a feature film adaptation of the critically acclaimed sci-fi story alongside Weston Middleton for Warner Brothers at his newly formed but still untitled production company. HBO's Watchmen writer Tom Spezialy is currently attached to pen the script, and Oscar winner Graham King, who acquired the rights to all 4 of the Hyperion Cantos books that comprised the series back in the day, will also produce under his GK Films banner. Now, whether or not Bradley Cooper will direct and star in the film as well, like he did with A Star is Born, remains to be seen, but the initial report states that a search for a potential director is currently underway. Now, if you're racking your brain trying to figure out if this is a glitch in the Matrix because it feels like deja vu to you, that's because Bradley Cooper and many others have been trying to make Hyperion into something for a very long time. As early as 2003, reports were swirling around the internet on sites like Ain't It Cool that Martin Scorsese was circling a trilogy of Hyperion movies with Leonardo DiCaprio attached to star, but as you can see, nothing ever came of it. Now, other names like James Cameron were connected to options for this sci-fi series early on in the process too, and then in 2009, Doctor Strange director Scott Derrickson was tapped to direct this film for Warner Brothers, but that project also eventually fell apart. Then in 2011, Bradley Cooper began publicly expressing his interest in adapting Hyperion for the big screen specifically, but by 2015 that project morphed from film adaptation into Sci-Fi Channel miniseries. In 2017, author Dan Simmons himself seemed very skeptical about the project's chances. On his forum, Simmons noted that Cooper couldn't break the novel down into a workable treatment, and that Disney Studios threw writers at deconstructing the Hyperion novel for film for 5 years long ago, but couldn't do it either. Now though, Hyperion has morphed once again from TV miniseries back into a feature film adaptation. According to Deadline, the change-up in adapting the IP as a movie instead of a limited series is to provide the IP with more breadth and scope that the expansive story demands. Given the ever-expanding budgets of prestige television series and the demand for high-quality serialized genre storytelling, I'm not sure I understand the thinking there, but if it gets me a good adaptation of Hyperion, I'm not gonna complain. Because with so much story to tell across the 4 novels and various short stories, cramming everything into one movie seems like a fool's errand. And given the success of Dune, which split Frank Herbert's seminal novel into 2 parts, doing a multi-part film adaptation of Hyperion seems like the only reasonable path forward to avoid carving up the source material worse than anybody who wanders too close to the Shrike's territory. Regardless though, Bradley Cooper has been waiting for at least 10 years to adapt Hyperion for the screen, and fans have been waiting even longer. So with all of that said, we will continue to wait patiently and cross our fingers that all's well that ends well as we feverishly refresh our browsers for more news. We'll keep you covered though on any future developments over on Nerdist.com, but in the meantime, tell us, what do you think of this news? Should Hyperion be a movie or a TV show? And who would you cast as the main characters? Let us know in the comments below, and for the latest and greatest in the world of pop culture, stay tuned to Nerdist.com.